Saturday to everybody. I was hoping to get this out yesterday, but I got my boy with me this week, so kind of got to work this in around his schedule. So I hope everybody had a good week. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. In the last video, we went over what a narcissist is. And so today in this video, we are going to go over why the narcissist chose you. And again, just like I stated in the last video, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I don't have a college degree in any of this, but I do have many, 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 many hours of extensive research on the subject. And what I've realized is, just like in my case, and from what I've read, it seems to be a common thing that a lot of people that are dealing with narcissists don't know that that's what they're dealing with. They may not have even heard the term. I'm not even sure I heard the term up until I realized I was dealing with something. And just like in my case, and just like other people seem to do, is when they're in that situation, they tend to kind of, look and try to find answers as to what they're dealing with, and because they want to get a better understanding on what they're dealing with. And so that's kind of why I dove into this. That's why I've spent so many hours, researching this stuff to figure out what it is that I am dealing with. Because in my situation, a lot of other situations, where narcissists are involved, there's usually at least one or more kids that are kind of holding you to that narcissist. And so understanding narcissism goes a long way in how to deal with co-parenting with one. And I may touch on that in a later video. If you want to see that, let me know. But for now, we're going to look into why they chose you. Because in the end, usually when the relationships end, it's like, why why me? Why did they pick me? Why was it? Just like this article right here starts off saying, was it? Was it a random meeting? Was I just unlucky? And just like I covered in the last video, narcissists, it's not random. They don't, choose you at random. They chose you for a specific reason. Like a lion watching a gazelle. You're the target. They're just waiting on the moment to pounce. So let's get into it. Let's get started. I got a few articles I want to go over to kind of break down. So to start off with, it says the question is, why did my narcissist choose me? Was it just random meeting and I was unlucky? The answer is, it is highly improbable that your narcissist chose you at random. On the contrary, they are likely to have chosen you as their victim with great care and attention for a specific reason. It could be that they are attracted by your looks, your intellect, your knowledge, your status, your wealth, your popularity, your etc. Whatever it is that attracts the narcissist to you, most victims tend to have one trait in common. That is, their empathetic, caring nature. It is important to remember that victims are not random choices. The narcissist knows exactly who they want to snare. Like I said, the lion watching the gazelle. And if you're learning about this, you're just getting into learning about this, you're going to come across that one specific trait right there that they tend to look to the most, and that's empathetic. And there are, from what I've learned, is that there are empaths and then there are super empaths. And, the empathetic people seem to be more concerned with other people's feelings than their self, whereas the super empath is concerned with other people's feelings, but they're not going to put themselves in a situation where they're going to be in danger or in harm's way. You see what I'm saying? And empathetic people just tend to really overlook their own safety and focus more on other people. Alright, so let's get into these articles that is going to break down what this is talking about. Okay, so it says the narcissists are attracted to empaths the way the moth is to a flame. An empath is a highly intuitive individual who automatically and unconsciously align themselves with the moods, wishes, thoughts, and desires of those around them, and then quickly takes on their emotions. And they usually take on their emotions as their responsibility to change that. Like if somebody's sad, they feel the need to change that. You know what I mean? And for a narcissist, that's what they bank on. That's why they like the empath. They want somebody that's going to feed into that narcissistic desire. So it says empaths can fall into two groups: those who are reclusive and tend to choose to cut themselves off from others, blocking out the pain they pick up from their external environment, i.e., painful emotions and negative physical energy, chronic fatigue, etc. And they do kind of like those for the fact that narcissists do like to isolate their victims. They don't like, they like you to have a good social status because they can use that to their own benefit, to their own gain, to make their own self feel like they're important. But at the same time, they like people like this that's more isolated, because in the end, it's going to isolate you more and more from those people. So that's kind of why they really like the reclusive people, because they don't want everybody to know what they're going to do to you. Really. Because a narcissist, most of their bad behavior is going to happen behind closed doors. And so the less friends you have and the less family members you have, the less resources you have to help you get out of that bad situation. So continuing on, it says, then there are those who are the peacemakers, and this is what they count on. This type tends to be humble, quiet achievers who do not need or want to be the center of attention. They only see the good in people and accept the shortcomings of others in a compassionate way. And basically, just to break that down real quick, that's why narcissists like the peacemaker type. They only see the good in people, is because those type of empaths don't want to believe that people have those kind of bad intentions, because they don't. So they project their good qualities onto the narcissist, thinking that the narcissist is just going to kind of go along with that. But they're not. They just want you to want to be the peacemaker, because that's going to make it much more easier for them to manipulate you down the road. So it says they value harmony, therefore, for the sake of peace, they tend to give way to those who are more aggressive and confrontational, just like I said. That's why the narcissist prefers that type, the peacemakers, because they're more likely to let the narcissist get away with that bad behavior, because they don't want to argue. So they're basically gonna, like, if you get these parents, that's got these really spoiled kids, and every time a kid throws a fit, they're just gonna give them money just to shut them up. That's kind of what the peacemaker does. He's gonna let the narcissist do whatever they want to do, just so that they don't have to go through the argument. It says they have an advanced empathy, so are quick to feel subtle mood changes in others, and quickly respond to those feelings with an open heart. And again, they usually kind of take other people's emotions as their responsibility. So if somebody's feeling bad, they see that as an opportunity to help them. You know what I mean? And for a narcissist, that is just a gold mine to them, because that they can just keep on going with that cycle. They can keep just bashing you and berating you as much as they want, because they know you're going to continue to try to fix whatever the problem is. And they want that attention. That's what narcissists do. They crave the attention. They want somebody who's going to go all out and try to make this person happy, even though it's an unrealistic expectation, because they're never happy. They always want. They're never going to be satisfied no matter how hard you try. But they know the empath is going to keep trying regardless. It says they are quick to recognize other people's needs, yet slow to recognize their own. And that's why narcissists appreciate that much more. Because in a narcissist world anyway, your feelings don't matter anyway. So they would rather you consider their feelings over your own. It says things must be bad before they explode, and when that happens, they feel guilty, or they feel guilt and shame at the loss of their control. And usually that's kind of like if you look into like the aggressive, what people tend to say as behavior problems, you got implosive and explosive. Explosive is the kind that's just going to come right out and tell you exactly what they think and how they feel and whatever. The implosive one is the one that's going to keep everything bottled up. And eventually that bottle is going to break, It's like shaking up a soda. Eventually that's going to explode, And when it does, they feel shame because they weren't able to control their own emotions, which they shouldn't feel ashamed. Because usually when that happens, especially when dealing with a narcissist, their loss of control, in a sense, is justifiable based on the abuse that they're getting from the narcissist. But it says they hate injustice and cruelty and will often fight for the rights of others. Unfortunately, they are slow to fight for their own rights. Therefore, the narcissist is drawn to an empath like a moth to a flame. They know that the empath will extend compassionate understanding to their ridiculous behavior far longer than other victims, like I just said. By the time the empath begins to work out what is happening in the relationship, it is too late. And usually that's well into the relationship after he's already been beaten and broken down and just feels worthless. And by then, it's a long road to recovery if you even get to that point. More than likely, they will have been sucked completely dry by their narcissist, and devastating damage will have been done. And sometimes, and a lot of times, people are not able to bounce back from that. Alright, so let's move on to the next part real quick. Okay, so it says, the narcissist always craves excessive attention and love from their victims, and empaths are willing to give that love not only gracefully, but unconditionally. Empaths are not demanding. They do not need to be in the limelight. They are humble and happy to allow the narcissist to have all of the attention. They are honest and open and would never imagine that anyone would deliberately manipulate for self-gain. That's like I said, like the empath, they prefer to see the good in others, so they don't want to think about this part, that someone is cruel enough to deliberately manipulate them for their own self-gain, even though that's exactly what's happening. I mean, it's right in front of them, but they refuse to accept that that's what's really happening. They insist that there's got to be something else. There's got to be some other explanation. And the narcissist loves that about the empath, because they don't want to believe this part. So the empath is going to keep trying to figure out what the real problem is, or what they think the real problem is, so they keep putting in all this effort to please the narcissist, which just feeds that narcissistic ego. It says they are very loyal, devoted, and selfless in their relationships. Furthermore, they will fight tooth and nail to resurrect their ailing relationship, and the narcissist knows this to be so. And that's usually, like I mentioned in the last video, that's why they use that love bombing phase first is because they give you this false sense of compatibility, like you've met your perfect match, and that this is going to be a very, you know, a very great relationship, you know. And they do that for that reason, to keep you fighting, so that when the devaluing starts, you're desperately trying to get back to that love bombing phase, even though you don't know it's a love bombing phase. But the way you felt in that love bombing phase is what you're trying to get back to, and it's never going to happen. And the narcissist knows it's never going to happen, but they know you're going to keep trying for it. That's the whole reason they done the love bombing in the first place. That way they're allowed to continue their very bad behavior, because they know you're still going to fight tooth and nail to get back to the way it was, even though it's never going to happen. So they, the empath, are the healer and fixer in the relationship. And the narcissist takes sadistic pleasure in manipulating the relationship to their own ends. The narcissist is a great actor and knows how to act the victim and milk the empath's human kindness. And they really do. I mean, what should be considered a strength, somebody who is empathetic and considerate of others, that should be a good quality, and in most cases it is. When you're thinking about volunteer work and charity work and different things like that, that should be a good thing. But narcissists will always find a way to exploit that to their own gain, to their own benefit. So the narcissist sets out to make you think that you have met your soulmate, like I said, the love bombing phase. This is particularly true during the idealization phase, when they mirror back your values and beliefs to you. The intention is to make you think you have met a person who is just like you. Someone who thinks as you, someone as sensitive as you, someone you don't have to explain anything to. Unfortunately, nothing is further from the truth. It is all just smoke and mirrors, one big hoax, an elaborate illusion which you fell for, hook, line, and sinker, which is the plan. And I mentioned in the last video, the love bombing phase usually lasts between 1 to 3 months. And I said it depends on the narcissist that you are with, and that part is true. But it also depends on how fast they're able to reel you in. Once they realize they've got you hooked, once they realize you're not going anywhere, that's when the valuing stage is going to start. So the sad thing is that you were seduced and manipulated into falling in love with someone that never really existed, and that's true. Because the love bombing phase, what you get in that love bombing phase is the fake them. That's not who they really are. So when you're fighting to get back to that love bombing phase, you're fighting to get back to someone who didn't even exist, because that wasn't the real them. This is in the wounds of the experience will go very deep. The longer you're with them, the deeper it'll go. As soon as the narcissist selects their victim, a covenant is formed in which they both enter a convoluted codependency dance. In this partnership, one partner, the victim, is the consummate giver, while the other partner, the narcissist, is the consummate taker. And those roles will never reverse. The victim will never be the taker, because the narcissist is never going to give. And that's just the way it is. So the narcissist assumes the role of puppet master, while the victim assumes the role of the puppet. All the time, the victim's strings will be pulled in such a way that the narcissist becomes the center of their world. Without any knowledge, the victim has been cemented into the role the narcissist has made for them as a narcissistic supply. Their sole purpose is to serve the narcissist and remain under their pathological control. And that goes well beyond the devaluing stage and the discard stage. Even after the discard stage, they still expect you to be under their control, which is where the hoovering comes in. Because the way a narcissist views you is you are property to them. You are their property. So just because, even if they discard you, to them, you are still their property. Meaning no one else can have you. You're still supposed to be waiting in case they decide they want to come play with you again. It says, during the idealization stage, the victim will be love bombed, and bit by bit, they will become isolated from everything and everybody. Meaning family members, friends, work colleagues, hobbies, and any other passions that you may have. Once this is established, the narcissist will move into the devaluing phase, and the terrifying, soul-destroying psychological warfare will begin, all designed to suck the life out of the victim and discard them. Alright, let me pull up another article real quick, and we're going to kind of dive into that. Alright, so let's go through this article real quick. I'm going to try to blow this up for you so you can see it better. Alright. It says, out of all the questions that ran through my mind, and again, this is from a different author, but it kind of it goes right into what we were just talking about. Out of all the questions that ran through my mind in my healing journey, the one that kept coming up is, why did he choose me? And it goes both ways, because narcissism is not gender specific. It is male and female. Okay, and there is both, and it runs on a spectrum, much like autism and even empath. Even empath runs on a spectrum. There are some who are empathetic and some who are super empaths. And again, I can get into that in another video. I'm not going to do it in this one, but I'll go over the differences between the two in another video. But a narcissist is usually kind of keen on the empath, whereas the super empath is pretty much the enemy to the narcissist because they're not able to control or obtain the super empath. Alright, so let's dive into this real quick, and I'm going to probably end it on this article right here. I may have one more, but let's just go through this one real quick. But like I said, this is not gender specific. This is both, and a lot of men and women who are dealing with narcissism or narcissists tend to seem to have that question, especially at the end when they're trying to figure out what happened and what all that was about and what it is they just went through. You know, it's like, whoa, that was crazy. Like, what was going on? And when they start figuring out that they were dealing with a narcissist, then they want to know, why did they choose me? Why me? Why come after me? Why target me? Alright? So knowing why the narcissists choose us is essential to our healing and recovery. And it usually is because a lot of times people wonder if they did something wrong, you know, if it was really their fault, if they could have done better, if there was something, if they could have done, you know, more or could have tried harder. And let me tell you, when you're dealing with a narcissist, there's nothing you can do that's going to make anything any better. You cannot try any harder because it's never going to be enough. You can't do any more because it's never going to be enough. Like, to start off with, it says there is so much right with us, and that is true. Because while the narcissist devalues the crap out of you, and again, the longer you're with them, the more that's going to happen. But they try to act like you're nothing, like you don't matter and you're not important. When the truth is, they chose you because you had a lot going for you. Like it said in that first clip, it was usually, or the first article, it's usually something dealing with your financial status, your social status, and you know, just anything kind of related to what you have already established. And so, you know, alright, so this is that's the long and short of it. Narcissists choose us for what is right with us. Ironically, they would have us believe otherwise. The narcissist wants us to think They are rescuing us because we have a lot wrong with us. And that is just not true. There is nothing wrong with us. The narcissists choose us because we are empaths. And because we're caring, we're loving, we want to help people out. We care about how other people feel, and we want other people to be happy. And one quick difference between the empath and a super empath is both want people to be happy. Okay, but empaths will go out of their way to make someone happy, whereas super empaths realize, look, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped. You can't make somebody happy who is always going to find a reason to not be happy. And so empaths are more inclined to try harder, whereas super empaths would be like, look, I tried, there's nothing else I could do. Alright, so moving on. It says, what is an empath? And it says right here, you can go through there and kind of get a breakdown of it. But a quick definition is, being an empath is when you are affected by other people's energies and have an innate ability to intuitively feel and perceive others. Your life is unconsciously influenced by others' desires, wishes, thoughts, and moods. Being an empath is much more than being highly sensitive, and it's not just limited to emotions. Empaths can perceive physical sensitivities and spiritual urges, as well as just knowing the motivations and intentions of other people. Again, the difference between an empath and a super empath is that even though an empath is able to know these kind of things, the motivation and intention, both can usually spot these pretty quickly because they're able to observe very well. They're able to really they could walk into a room and they could just read the room and feel the energy that is being portrayed in the room. Whether it's a good vibe, a bad vibe, or whatever. Empaths and super empaths alike are able to get a feel or a sense of the mood. But like I said, the difference is the empaths will try harder to please people, whereas the super empaths are going to be like, look, I'll make you happy, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of my own well-being. Whereas empaths, they don't consider their own well-being. In fact, their well-being is considered last. Whereas, again, I'll break into that. I'll get into the difference in that in a different video. But for now, let's just keep going. It says, it is for that reason that the narcissist reels us in. They hone in on our innate abilities, our willingness to help others in need, and our sensitivity to others. Narcissists exploit our good nature. They portray themselves as a victim, typically from a previous relationship. And usually, so like guys, if you're talking to a woman, if you're, however you met her, if you met her through a friend, you met her at work, you met her out in public, you met her online, however you met her, doesn't matter. But if you're going through, if she's talking about her last boyfriend, the last few boyfriends were horrible, they were this, they were that, they were this, they were that, they did this, they mistreated her, and they didn't care about her, they didn't love her, and there's a whole bunch of BS you're going to hear about their exes, okay? That's a red flag in itself. But they do that as a way to play the victim. They want to pull at your sympathy strings. And if you're an empath, me personally, I'm a super empath. By what I've figured out and everything I've learned, again, I've done extensive research on everything related to this. And I figured out that I am a super empath, and again, I'll get into that in another video. But the empath, they know, is going to buy into that victimhood. They know the empath is going to be like, oh, you poor thing, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to take care of you, don't you worry about all them bad relationships, I'm going to be the guy who is going to take care of you, I'm going to be the guy who is going to fix you. And actually, here's what it says right here. It says so that we can help or quote unquote fix them or quote unquote heal them by attending to their quote unquote wounded hearts. What I just said. While this is going on, the narcissist will begin their love bombing stage. Our willingness to help others in need, coupled with the narcissist love bombing, will almost always hook us in. And again, that love bombing is designed to get you hooked. It comes on very, very intense. It comes on very emotional. Like, it's to pull at your strings, especially if you're an empath. And you're like, wow, finally. Because if you're a guy, if you're out there, if you're actually looking for a long-term relationship, you're looking for something serious, narcissists bank on that. And it really kind of goes on both sides. But I'm speaking on it more from a guy standpoint. Because from what I've learned, more of the narcissists, male narcissists, seem to be more overt. There are some covert narcissists, but they seem to be more overt and easier to spot. The female narcissists seem to be the more likely to be covert and are much harder to spot because of the ability for women in society today to play the victim. So that really makes things so much easier for a narcissist, because women in general in society play the victim a lot anyway, and narcissists love the victim card. So that really, really helps them reel in their next victim, their next target. And so this love bombing stage is to make that target think that they met their special someone, that they met their soulmate, they met the love of their life. They're going to marry this person, they're going to have kids with this person, they're going to get a house with this person, they're going to grow old with this person, and that's what they're thinking through the love bombing stage, and that's what the narcissist wants you to think. And once she realizes she's got you hooked, or once they realize they have you hooked, oh, it's on then. Then the devaluing is going to come in. Like I said, and that is what they are counting on. They purposely seek us out. They want the challenge of breaking down people like us. People who exhibit strength, confidence, intelligence, and willingness to help others, and who are driven. And when they succeed at breaking us down, they further bolster their ego and superiority complex. So to break that down just real quick, and I'm gonna end it on this one. But like it said in the beginning, like right up here, it says there's so much right with us, though that is a short. The narcissists choose us for right. Ironically, they want us to believe they are the ones saving us. But then right here, it really breaks that down. It says people who exhibit strength, they want to break down people like us. So to say that they're saving us, obviously they're not saving us if they're in it to break us down, and they really are. Because when it comes to narcissism or narcissistic personality disorder, it's usually a very deep-rooted insecurity among themselves. And so, like, they basically, like, imagine it, like, think about it like a multiple personality disorder, and you've got these voices in your head that are constantly telling you you're not good enough, you don't deserve this, you don't deserve that, you're not worthy of this, you're not worthy of love, you're not worthy of admiration, you're not worthy of validation, and so on and so on. And narcissists are getting this all the time in their head. Alright? So when they start feeling this way, the only way they can boost that, the only way they can feel good about themselves, is the way they see it is because they see that, they think, well, why is this person happy if I'm not happy? Why do they deserve to be happy if I can't be happy? And that's the way they see it. So if they see you as happy, they literally take a sadistic joy in breaking that down or taking that away from you. They take a joy in taking away your happiness, because that gives them happiness. Because then they get to step back. Think about it like an artist who paints a picture, okay? They get in there, they do all this work, And then they get to step back and they look at the fact that they just took somebody who had everything together and they broke him down into nothing. And that gives them an ego boost, because then they can step back and they can say, yeah, I did that. I had the power to break him down. I had the power to take away everything he had. He had all this money. He had a good loving family. He had good friends. He had a good career, good mindset, good stable household and everything else. And I took that away from him. I was able to do that. I was able to ruin his life. I had that power. And that's what it is. It's that boost. It's like, yeah, now I feel strong and I feel powerful because I was able to break this person down. And again, that's why the super empath is the enemy to the narcissist, because they're not able to break down a super empath. Again, I'll get into that in another video. But for now, I think we're going to end it on that. I'm trying to think. I think I might have one other clip or one other thing I want to show you. Actually, I do. Let me get in that one. Alright, yeah, so this one right here is what I'm going to end it on. This is actually just kind of goes into what I was just saying, is where they don't feel good about themselves, so they feel the need to break down other people. Much like a bully in school. If a bully, is he doesn't feel good about himself, he's usually going to pick on other kids to make himself feel better, to make himself feel powerful. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the way a narcissist is. And narcissists use bully tactics throughout the devaluing stage. And I can get it again. Let me know what y'all want. Like, if y'all, whatever y'all want me to cover, I'll be willing to cover as far as the devaluing, empathy, super empath, and other things like that. But I mean, each category, gaslighting, devaluing stage, the love bombing stage, really can kind of be broke down into its own video. So just let me know if y'all want to see that. But let's get into this real quick, and I'm going to end it on this. It says, narcissists choose us because we actually are better than them. And they know this. They want us to feel as miserable as they are, like I just said. They know, they feel like crap inside. Despite what they see, the false persona that they portray to the public is just what they want you to believe. They want you to believe that they are this good, happy person. But inside, they really feel like crap. They feel like they ain't worth nothing. And because of that, they want to make everybody else feel the same way, because that actually makes them feel better. It says they need someone to take care of their endless childlike needs. Like I said in the last video before this one, they're like a spoiled child. And when you don't give them what they want, they're gonna throw a fit. And they're never gonna outgrow that immaturity. Never. This is, and they won't choose anyone who can't provide that. During our healing journey, we cannot allow anyone to cause us to feel worthless ever again. We cannot allow narcissists to cause us to harbor any doubt about ourselves. And this point right here is what I'm going to end on. This last thing that it said, we cannot allow narcissists to cause us to harbor any doubt about ourselves. That is one of the biggest key factor differences between an empath and a super empath. Is an empath is usually a codependent person. They need somebody else to fill that void in their life. And they usually have a lot of insecurities, and they don't feel very confident about who they are. And a super empath is confident about who they are. So everything that a narcissist tries with them is not going to work, because they're like, look, you can talk all that BS all you want. I know who I am. I know what I'm worth. And I know I'm not going to deal with you anymore. So bye. Empaths, on the other hand, are the types that have to kind of work on this mindset. And I don't really, honestly, if you're an empath, I'm not speaking anything bad about you. It's good that you care about other people. That is really awesome, because we need people to be more caring about other people. So I'm not saying don't care about other people. But the point is, care about yourself as well. Like, don't allow yourself to be abused for someone else's gain. Don't allow yourself to go through torment just so somebody else can be happy. If you're not happy, then get out. That's the most important thing. Like, me personally, and coming from somebody who has dealt with this, so don't say, well, you don't know what it's about. Trust me, I do. I've dealt with a couple of narcissists, okay? In a dating relationship, or an intimate relationship. And so I realized that I would rather be happy and alone than be miserable and with somebody who is happy with my misery. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're trying so hard to make this person happy, and it's making you miserable. So even if they're happy, you're still miserable, and you cannot do that to yourself. Please put yourself first. Alright, so I'm going to end it on that. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, I hope you had a great week. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And if you like the video, please like, subscribe. Please leave a comment. That's what the comment section is for. If I missed anything, or if you disagree with anything I said, or just want to share your story, please. That's what the comment section is for, okay? So on that note, I will see y'all in the next one. Y'all have a good one.